What's up everyone, how you doing? It's John. In this video I'll be reviewing the Sega Genesis Mini 2. This was exclusively available on Amazon. I picked it up early last year for 125 US dollars. It includes 60 classic Sega Genesis games. There's a handful of Sega CD games as well, which is new. So the game list is different than the Model 1 Mini, and this one is modeled after kind of the smaller version of the Model 2 Sega Genesis. I love the Sega Genesis. It's a great console, really competed well with the Super Nintendo, of course, at the time in the 90s. So let's take a closer look. I'll do an unboxing. We'll take a closer look. We'll obviously turn it on, show you some gameplay, show you the menu. I'm a big fan of these minis. I think they should make more of these. There's been some really good ones. Obviously, the Nintendo NES Mini kicked it off. It's a fantastic one, other than the controller cord being a little bit too short. But there's been some bad ones, like the Sony PlayStation 1 Mini, not very good. So overall, the Model 1 Sega Genesis is pretty decent. So I'm hopeful that this Model 2 will be decent as well. So without any further ado, let's take a closer look. Thanks for watching. Okay, let's do an unboxing of the Mini 2. Advertises brilliant 16-bit graphics. It's also extremely extensive library of games, built-in digital sound, stereo. Kind of hard print to read. My eyesight is going bad. I'm getting too old for this, to be honest. Anyway, here's the back. Here's a closer look at some of the games. Really tiny print. I mean, the box itself is really small too, but introducing some Sega Genesis games, or CD games that is. So you got Sonic CD, which is honestly one of my favorite Sonic games out there. Fantastic Sonic game. The soundtrack is phenomenal. And let's see what other Sega CD, Final Fight CD. One of the better Final Fight ports, really great audio as well. Night Trap, which is classic. Sewer Shark, which is one of our early packing games for it. Let's see, Sonic the Hedgehog, we mentioned that. Ninja Warriors, Echo the Dolphin, 1 and 2. And then some of the CD are some of the regular Genesis games as well. So you have some of the Outrun, Outrunners, Phantasy Star 2, Rainbow Island, Shining Force, Sonic 3D Blast, Splatterhouse 2. So the original Model 1 would have like all the Sonic games. I like that they included different games in this, right? That's different than the Sonic Model 1. You also have some introducing Dev and P. I'm not quite sure if that or Pi. Dev and P. Splatter, Space Harrier 2. So there's some interesting games there as well that's introducing. So let's open this up. Okay, nicely packed. Nicely bundled, okay. We got, oh, this is nice, actually. That's the first thing I noticed. Right off the bat, it has a wall adapter. And this is nice, because a lot of minis nowadays don't have the USB adapter to the outlet, so that's really nice. That's included. That is a plus for sure, because a lot of the ones I've done reviews on don't include that. This looks like it's micro USB to USB. This is the charger cable. Looks like it's a good length. Also looks like we have a HDMI cable, which is obviously very important. Some good length to that. 8-bit do, or 8-bit do. They do a good job with these, recreating these controllers. 6-button controller, which is nice. I believe the Model 1 only came with a 3-button controller, so it's nice to have a 3-button. This is also USB. Okay, 8-bit do also does make one that's compatible with the original Sega Genesis, FYI, and this feels like the original controller. Really nice. It's even, all this is licensed by Sega, obviously. And here is the system itself. There's some type of single board computer like a Raspberry Pi in here selling. So turn it on, you flip it, switch here. You have the 2 USB, so you can buy a separate USB controller and plug it here to play 2-player, but it's only included 1. This is your reset button, just like normal. These flaps actually open, even though there is no mini cartridge, but that's actually impressive that it opens. It would be cool if they had like a functional mini games. That'd be fantastic if that was the case. On the back is HDMI out, USB, a mini USB for charge, and there's no rubber or anything at the bottom here. But yeah, it feels pretty sturdy. So let's go ahead and power this bad boy on, take a closer look, and thanks for watching. I really like the menu format, very similar to the NES Mini or Super Nintendo Mini. And when you turn on, you have to choose your language you want to select, and they're automatically listed alphabetically. You can change how they're listed. I'll show you how to do that in a minute here. But I want to kind of go over, highlight some of the games. Night Trap, classic game. Outrun, of course, a classic port to great racing game by Sega, which came out in the arcades. Space Harrier 2, there's actually a significance for that game. I'll explain what that is in a second. It's one of actually a number of new games that were never released for the Genesis. There's a handful of games, I think 5 to 6, that were released in 2022 when this actually came out. You go to screen settings, you can change the ratio, aspect ratio. You can do kind of stretch it out to full screen or stick to 4:3. I'm old school. I like to go with 4:3. You can also add scan lines, and there's also the ability to change the wallpaper with the borders around it. We'll start with a classic CRT at first, but there's actually, you can see here, there's a handful of different ones available to choose from. Let's go and exit this. To exit the game, by the way, you hit there's a mode button in the top right corner of the controller. That's how you exit the game, FYI. Switch by release date. You can either go in the right corner and do it, or hit Y or Z to change it. Do alphabetical, genre, number of players. You can do CDs first, as well as recently played, and then also when they were released. We'll see these first. I'll show you the first one. Let's check out Echo the Dolphin. Came out in 1993. It's the first of a series of Echo the Dolphin games. I believe the last one that came out was 2000. Came out Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future for the Dreamcast. But there was Echo Jr. and there's Echo Jr. like Great Ocean Treasure Hunt for the Pico, and then there's the Tides of Time, and this one. So it's been a while since they've released a new Echo game, and if you haven't played Echo the Dolphin, a really fun graphics, really unique gameplay. You're this dolphin, you're swimming around, you got to watch out, you make sure you don't drown, and there's enemies and sharks. I mean, it's a really fun classic game for the Genesis, and the controls are really fun. I enjoyed, flipping out of the water and doing flips and things like that, and you can communicate with the dolphins. Really fun, actually. And the difference between the CD port, in case you're wondering, and the Genesis or Mega Drive version is the audio, the CD quality sound. And audio does make a big difference in terms of gameplay experience, but graphically, the games are identical. Let's move on. You can actually, once you exit the game, there's 4 different save spots you can choose from. And let's go and save it. That's the nice thing about doing this emulation. Return to main menu, and hit mode button to exit the game, as I mentioned before. Next game I want to show you, let's check out another one. Let's do Final Fight CD. Actually, let's change the wallpaper before I do that. Let's go with the Sega World one. Let's do that. Let's check out Final Fight. Also came out in 1993, and ported, a great port from Capcom, of course, a beat 'em up, a really classic beat 'em up. Sega was known for some great beat 'em ups, obviously, and this is Streets of Rage being a great series, for example, and this is a really fun game and a really awesome soundtrack. Graphically, it's very similar to the Genesis, but the soundtrack is phenomenal on this, and this is considered one of the better ports for the CD or for any home console. I'll do Hagar. He's one of my favorites. I think the Super Nintendo had 3 different Final Fight games. A couple of them weren't even released in the arcades. That guy always reminded me of Hulk Hogan for some reason, that enemy there. You have a punch and jump, and you hit both buttons at the same time. You can just spin it and attack, multiple attack, but it takes away energy at the same time. I love the fact you can punch cans and get food for energy, etc. If you haven't played Final Fight, I highly recommend it. It's a really fun game. Also really fun to play multiplayer. Here's another one, Sewer Shark for the CD. This is one of the earlier packing games for the system, and really used the live action, full motion video part of it and enhanced that. I forgot Hasbro actually had worked on this game, or published or produced this game, which is interesting. And it's one of those games that has a video already playing, and you have to just initially shoot these rats, and it gets more difficult. But it kind of showcased what the Sega CD could do, right? Both audio and video. Color-wise, it's still the same color palette as the Genesis or Mega Drive, and that's why a lot of these videos are kind of shrunken down. We got these crazy sewer rats you got to shoot out in this one, and you have to kind of control in the same way directions of where you want to go in the sewer. Really fun game for the Sega CD. Must own, in my opinion. This is Space Harrier 2. This game obviously came out in the arcades by Sega Classic, but was never really fully ported to the Genesis until now, or at least in 2022. And it couldn't do the kind of 3D mode scaling that we're seeing here. So this is kind of an enhanced version. And when you start this game, you actually have a version of playing either this or Space Harrier 1. So technically there's like 61 games in this bundle if you include Space Harrier 1. And Space Harrier is a really fun series. It's a shooting game, obviously based on the arcade. And it's kind of a 3D version of Galaga. And there's just different planes. It's really challenging. Here's another really fun game as well, a new one that came out in 2022. And it kind of took me a while to figure out what to do in this. And then I realized you have to kind of hit the bats that are falling down and like hit the baby. So this is a Japanese game. It's totally random. You actually control both paddles. Top one you control hitting the ABC buttons, and then left one I'm moving here is just the D-pad. This is a really fun game as well called Star Mobile, and this is one where you have to balance the stars on each one. This game never officially came out, only came out several years ago in 2022, and kind of a unique gameplay, kind of a unique puzzle game to figure out how you want to balance these stars or balance the scales. That kind of a unique gameplay. The music's great, graphically it looks really fun, kind of definitely reminds me of a classic Genesis game that came out recently. This is Puyo Puyo Sun. This is a puzzle game. It reminds me of another puzzle game. I can't put my finger on it. Is it the one Dr. Robotnik Beans or something like that? It just reminds me of... leave it in a comment. Let me know what it is, because I swear. But the object of this game is to get 4 of these jelly things in a row. Kind of like with Tetris. And you can play versus another player, of course. It's a versus. And surprisingly, this never came out for the Genesis until several years ago in 2022. Overall, I really enjoy the set. It's got Virtual Racing Classic and Toe Jam and Earl. There's so many great games for the Genesis. I do recommend checking out the Mini if you can. If you get the Mini 2, of course, as well, definitely check it out. I think $125 is priced right. I know people are selling this secondhand as of doing this video for almost twice that, which is a little bit more expensive. But thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Leave a comment below. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. And, of course, game on.